Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
In this video I will completely omit the main character, which, if you don't know who he is, I won't mention him, and I will just tell him the individual O, who is known for being a very controversial character in the history of the United States, and who was linked to one of the most tragic events in the country. I just want to clarify that I am not making an apology for anything, and my only interest is to narrate a curious event that occurred on the internet, and it is related to individual O. After the capture of individual O by the United States government, a wave of rumors and leaks emerged, but for the purposes of this video, we'll focus on one particular aspect, the release of 300 gigabytes of computer content belonging to individual O. While most of it consisted of secret files and private documents, what really piqued the interest and caused a commotion was the discovery that his computer also contained multimedia content that one wouldn't expect to be in individual O's possession. For instance, there were episodes of Naruto and Tom and Jerry, all acquired in questionable ways. These findings became the center of attention for some media outlets, creating an image of absurdity and pathos that could easily be taken out of context. Admittedly, it is contrasting to think that such a controversial figure like individual O would secretly be an otaku. From what could be seen, his favorite content was of a more adult nature, raising even more eyebrows. Some believe that it was merely a rumor someone concocted to ridicule him in some way. However, we can confirm that individual O indeed had this type of content, as the CIA made all the files from his personal computer public. They made it available on the official CIA website, where anyone with 300 gigas of memory could download them, if they have the interest. Although I warn you, you won't find anything worthwhile, which simply makes me wonder why they decided to upload the content in the first place. Although if we leave aside movies and anime, there is something that abounds much more, and that are the realms of video games ranging from the classic NES to the Nintendo DS. Because it seems that someone was very fond of Nintendo in general. In principle, all the games are normal and have nothing important, because after all, they are just saved games. But even so, it generated curiosity to think of games where customization was a key element, as it could be Pokemon or some other RPG. Clearly we would not find anything of vital importance, because they are just video games, but even so, there is a game that generated interest for two reasons. The first would be that the degree of customization is certainly important because virtually every player has a completely different world. The second reason why it drew so much attention was that it seemed to be completely erased. Perhaps accidentally or maybe intentionally. That game was Animal Crossing. The lost island of individual O became a curious topic on the internet. Despite having no real importance, as it's merely saved data from a video game, users have invested quite a bit of effort into this subject. They have created fan arts, creepypastas detailing the true reason behind the world's censorship, submitted petitions to the CIA requesting the release of the actual file, and devised multiple theories explaining why the government doesn't want you to see the world of Animal Crossing, each theory more absurd than the last. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Perhaps the commotion started on Reddit in 2021 by user Eternal in the Lost Media community, where they said the following. We know that individual O played Wild World on an emulator. That being said, the FBI hasn't revealed his world. Is it possible that they still have it? And if so, would it be possible to request it through FOIA and obtain the saved file to explore? Update. To summarize everything said so far, this link seems to be our target. All the contents are in a 300 GB zip file without a functional way to explore the contents individually. It's possible that the game has been removed due to copyright reasons, but I won't know for sure until someone downloads the file and extracts it for investigation. Based on what I know about emulation, the saved file is likely stored somewhere within the emulator. It seems strange that the .save files for other DS games work, but the evidence for Animal Crossing is too small to function. I can't help but fantasize that this is some kind of cover-up. The best way to access it seems to be through the official CIA website, not the internet publication of the file. Regardless, this only further confirms what has already been suggested. Something still feels strange about all this. Wild World doesn't have a file extension and basically has no data. It must have been an error, or copyright issues, or perhaps they just don't want the public to see it. And maybe, just maybe, the zip file contains it, even though there is little evidence of it. Some users attempted to contribute to the investigation by downloading the entire compilation of files, only to conclude that there was no trace of Animal Crossing. It seems that ideas were proposed, such as formally requesting the CIA to release the saved file and searching in other languages, as people were determined not to leave this mystery unresolved. Despite their efforts, no definitive conclusion was reached, and some media outlets took the opportunity to spread the news that Individual O was a fan of Animal Crossing. Meanwhile, on Reddit, the theories kept coming. Now, I will tell you about the most curious ones. The most supported theory tells us that it was Nintendo itself that requested the removal of the game files, as they didn't want to associate such an innocent game with a character like Individual O, especially since Animal Crossing: New Horizons was set to be released in 2020. There isn't much evidence to support this claim, but people like the idea of a conspiracy network trying to hide the contents of the file from the world. Perhaps for the same reason, another theory, not taken very seriously, suggests that there was something in that world that should not come to light. This may sound ridiculous, but there were two variations of the theory. One was based on a creepypasta that claimed that upon entering the world, you would find different plans, taking advantage of the game's online function to create an untraceable base for the FBI. While seemingly far-fetched, it wouldn't be the first time that a video game has been used for such purposes. There have been cases where video games were used to plan similar things. The other version of the theory posits that the file called Animal Crossing was actually something else, which could only be opened with an unknown program, possibly granting access to private content that couldn't be obtained through other means. It's certainly entertaining to see how people discuss this topic, particularly due to its absurdity from the outset. However, I believe there might be an answer, one that, at least to me, seems more plausible, even if it lacks solid evidence. Some people on Reddit conducted a more detailed investigation and found practically nothing. It couldn't even be confirmed if the game was ever played. It is believed that the data found may be just generated trash from the emulator, such as previous game configurations, cheats, or assists. There are no traces of the game itself, and we may only be left with theories. One theory could suggest that the game didn't work properly, leading to its removal, but the file remained as part of the cache and was never deleted. Whether the game disappeared because it didn't function or if the CIA is hiding something is up to one's imagination. In addition to debunking the media's rumor about Individual O being a Nintendo fan and a secret otaku, another viewpoint emerges. It is known that at least 15 other people lived with Individual O, ranging from different ages, including many minors who enjoyed watching anime, viral YouTube videos, and playing Nintendo games from the classic NES to the DS. Therefore, while the computer may have been in Individual O's hiding place, it doesn't necessarily mean it was exclusive to him. According to the words of journalist Bill Razio, "T's like, oh, Individual O is a fan of Tom and Jerry. And maybe he is, it's very possible. I also like Tom and Jerry. But I suspect that many of the frivolous or personal things were more for his family." While this journalist has said questionable and unreliable things, I believe that at least in this matter, he is right. It's easier to imagine that all those videos and games were mainly for individual O's family, considering the tendency towards more youthful content. At the end of the day, as I already mentioned, there is no evidence of anything, and we can only speculate. While the idea of a conspiracy surrounding a lost world of Animal Crossing is very enticing for many, I personally think it's highly improbable given Nintendo's track record. If they wanted to erase something, they would likely erase it all. I'm not sure how accurate it is that the CIA would grant access to something that Nintendo has worked hard to remove from the internet. Some also commented that in some way, the CIA was supporting piracy with this action, but I'm not well versed in the matter, and I'm unsure of the legality of disseminating illegal content solely because it comes from a governmental source. I also wonder what would have happened if individual O had more sensitive content on that computer. Something beyond viral videos of the time and documentaries about himself, something truly heinous. Frankly, I don't want to delve further into this, as, like I said before, it's a sensitive topic for the platform. But if you have any answers or want to contribute anything, feel free to comment. For my part, I can only say that deep down, I like to imagine that we live in a universe where one of the most internationally hunted characters dedicated time to playing Animal Crossing and watching Naruto. But whether that happened or not, these are doubts that we will never see resolved. This is Gasper Paradox, and this never happened.